Hello, I'm television and radio producer, presenter Rob McKnight. With over 30 years' experience in the industry, this is Media McKnight. Let's begin with the tragic tale of bushwalker Lily Hooper, who was found dead 8 days after going missing. Now, due to a miscommunication, it was reported she had been found alive and well, but those reports were soon updated with the tragic news of her death. Now, that's where we turn our attention to the reporting of 7 News, which based most of its story that night around the scenes of joy, showing the family celebrating. And you have to ask, why?
They thought the nightmare was over. After 8 days of searching for missing hiker Lily Hooper, her family was told she was alive.
They're going to get her now by the sound of it, and let's wait to see her, and she might be going straight to hospital, I'd say.
Lily's father, Jim, had even brought her guitar and favourite chocolate.
I just brought that this morning. I didn't bring it yesterday, and this morning I thought, Tim Tams, I'll take the Tim Tams because it might lure her out of the bush.
Today, I washed my hair, I put my good sneakers on, and yeah, like Jim with the guitar, it's like, come on, and yeah, today is the day, so we're really excited.
There was even a toast.
We found her.
They believed the worst was behind them.
It must be the best day of your life.
I was never going to give up.
No, you won't. Yeah, you won't.
She's a beautiful girl, and she's coming home.
But Lily wasn't coming home. A short time later, the family was informed of the heartbreaking mistake. The 18-year-old had died. The embraces now a need for comfort.
So, the first 53 seconds of that 2.5-minute report showed vision of the celebration of a family's false hopes. It was gratuitous and exploitative. Just because you had the vision doesn't mean you had to run it. And yes, I get the hypocrisy of showing it here, but you have to see what I'm talking about to understand my criticism. Compare and contrast the way 7 used that footage to the way 9 and 10 did. Here's part of 9's report.
For a few precious moments, Jim and Kiralee Hooper believed their beloved daughter was coming home. After 8 days of searching, pure elation. At the news, 18-year-old Lily had been found alive.
That was it. What a difference. The miscommunication was acknowledged but kept short, and the shot selection was done with care. No exploitation here, especially compared to 7's report. And this is how 10 News reported the story.
For 8 excruciating nights, Lily Hooper's family waited for their precious daughter to come home. Today, hope turned to collective heartbreak as they learned she'd been found, but it was too late. The 18-year-old's body recovered by SES volunteers from Natai National Park, where she'd gone on a solo hike just over a week ago.
Early this morning that we found the deceased body of a young lady who we believe to be the missing bushwalker, Lily Hooper.
Their profound grief only compounded by conflicting initial reports of Lily's condition. In a dashing moment of hope, the Hooper family was told Lily was alive, only to learn minutes later that it wasn't the case.
One shot. 10 acknowledged the stuff up with just one shot. Now, there's no doubt the fact the family were told Lily was still alive, that is newsworthy. It absolutely is. But the fact 7 spent 53 seconds exploiting that family by showing scenes of their celebrations when the truth was Lily was dead, I think is just unforgivable. And they wonder why people are losing faith in the mainstream media. When approached for comment, a spokesperson for 7 told Media McKnight, our report accurately reflected how the communications bungle unfolded. The Hooper family was wrongly told Lily was alive and then, more than 20 minutes later, informed she had not survived. What was broadcast represented only a fraction of what unfolded, but it captured an important part of the family story. The family has thanked 7 for its coverage of what they went through, with Lily's father, Jim, choosing to speak exclusively with 7 despite approaches from other networks. But accuracy wasn't the issue here. The issue was the amount of footage used showing a happy family celebrating the safe return of their daughter because of a miscommunication. And look, the network did score the exclusive with Lily's dad, so maybe he didn't have an issue with the footage that was used, or maybe he hadn't seen it. Look, I don't know either way, but for me, it was gratuitous and unnecessary. And I'll make one last point about the helicopter shots shown in these stories. The cameras on choppers use a gyro mount on the outside of the chopper now, and it doesn't have a microphone. They don't record audio. So why are editors still adding the fake chopper sound?
The embraces now a need for comfort.
So that vision is mute. They are literally adding the sound of a chopper to the shot. I've even seen them do it with drone shots, and this isn't just Channel 7, it's all networks. It all harks back to when cameramen used to hang out of the side of a chopper and there'd be the helicopter atmos on track 2. Now it literally is added for a bit of showbiz. It's not just a matter of turning up the atmos track, they actually have to add it in as a sound effect. So don't believe everything you see or hear on the 6 p.m. news. Okay, I might have just slapped down Channel 7, but now I'm about to defend them. You see, senior reporter Chris Reason came under fire over his coverage of the Swans sexual assault allegations during an interview on ABC Radio in Melbourne on Friday. It was an extraordinary conversation where host Raf Epstein made allegations about Reason's reporting that just weren't true, while defending the ABC's reporting. It was biased and sloppy. And for the record, I have worked with Rezo over the years. I like him. I admire him. But before I play that interview, let's have a look at the section of Chris Reason's report from Thursday night that Epstein has taken issue with.
Yeah, hi, is that Melbourne Party Girls?
Today 7 News contacted the woman who took the booking from the players Monday morning. From Party Girls Melbourne, she asked to stay anonymous, but says she and the exotic dancer at the centre of the sex assault allegations have been identified online.
Have you reached out to her? Is she okay? I mean, I'm just worried about her mental health, about the impact on her.
She told us they're now worried about retribution and fear for their lives. I'm so scared. This is so dangerous for our safety, she said.
Nothing wrong with that. As far as I'm concerned, that was good, solid reporting. But it comes as Victoria Police warned media companies not to contact the women making the allegations against the Swans. In fact, The Guardian says a manager from the police unit admonished the media for its behaviour in recent days amid feverish national interest in the story. A statement sent out on Thursday read in part, "We are aware media have repeatedly contacted the parties involved in this matter, and this is having a significant impact, particularly on the complainants. We ask that media are respectful of all those involved and that repeated harassment of any parties may ultimately have an impact both on the criminal investigation and the welfare of the complainants." What a load of tosh. That's more about Victoria Police wanting to control the narrative and nothing to do with the investigation. It's not like police haven't ever leaked information about a case. This is a very sensitive story, and journalists know what they are and aren't allowed to do. That statement is nothing more than manipulation by Victoria Police. And let's remember, these women have issued statements and their lawyers have been very visible. The woman Chris Reason spoke to wanted to share her story. The police has no right to stop any alleged victim from telling their story. But the ABC's Raf Epstein saw it as an opportunity to admonish Reason as well.
Chris, the police say the media have been harassing the women. Have you?
No, look, I've made a call to the institution that had been at the centre of these claims, the one that had, as your listeners know, had been contacted allegedly by the 5 players to send some exotic dancers down to that hotel room. And I rang them to see what their perspective was, what their side of the story was. And the woman that took my call spoke to me at length about what had happened that night. And she told me various things that were quite surprising and actually asked me to include them in my report that night. And primarily the fact that she was now scared for her life. She was worried and felt endangered because her name was out there online, her photograph was out there online, and she had 3 children, been in the industry for 15 years, and said to me, "Chris, can you actually report these things?" And so, you know, Raf, I couldn't have got that information. I couldn't have taken her plea and put that plea to air if I hadn't spoken to her. Reporters have to go down that process.
You don't think you're adding to the pile-on? I mean, she must have felt under pressure. You're just another reporter, aren't you?
What the hell? He's transferring a lot of opinions onto this lady. How is Rezo adding onto the pylon? He has done the very basics of reporting and offered someone who is in the news the chance to tell their story. Now, the person can either say no comment or choose to speak to the person on the other end of the line. And this lady decided to do that. I really don't see the problem here. But Raf, he's not done yet.
You're just another reporter, aren't you?
Well, no, I mean, adding to the pile, and I think adding to some relief. I gave her the opportunity to talk about it, and she wanted to talk about it. She wanted to get a message out there. She's saying to the people who are posting her name and her photo, which we didn't do, and I don't think the ABC did either, to stop it and to pull it down, again, because she's worried for her life. I mean, you can't, as a journalist, you have to make those calls. You have to at least approach people and see if they want to talk.
So
if they
I just
don't,
want to
fine,
interrupt
that's
you,
the end of
Chris,
it.
if I can. Every time they get rung, that could be harassment, couldn't it? I mean, you might get someone at the end of her tether who feels she has no choice but to say those things to you. Could you see that's... Because the police aren't saying this out of nowhere. They're not saying social media are piling on the pressure.
Oh, look, I mean, I'd be worried if I were you, Raf, and on taking what the police and public agents everywhere, whether they work for government or corporates or police agencies, are there to protect their interests. They don't like it when journalists start to dig around and ask those questions. Yeah, their interests. That we are asking questions about this investigation to see what we can learn. There's a period, as you well know, there's a period before charges begin when everybody is investigating. Right now, the AFL is investigating.
Why are your questions more important than Victoria? Aren't you sort of elevating yourself?
That's a very bad spin. No, we very, very much have important questions to ask, and I think
why are your questions more important than police questions?
I don't think they are at all. That's your words, not mine.
I don't understand what this is. Is Raf Epstein that naive that he doesn't think police media spin things for their own purposes? Hell, there have been 477 suppression orders in Victoria last year alone that the media can't report on cases because of the way the law is misused to cover up sexual predators. The simple fact is, Chris Reason made a phone call. Now, it is the person on the other end to decide whether to answer the phone or not. It's very simple these days. You see what calls are coming through. And Raf Epstein is trying to tell Chris that Chris Reason believes his questions are more important than the police, something Reason has not said at all, never intimated. He is just trying to report on a story of national significance. This is so ABC. Like, does he think ABC reporters are not making phone calls? Oh, we'll get to that in a sec, and the cosy relationship between the ABC and the police. But I think the craziest part of this discussion was the false claim Raf made about Reason's reporting. Have a listen to this.
Are you really elevating your questions? I don't care. You aired a rumour. You aired a rumour in your story, Chris.
You're elevating it. No, I didn't air a rumour. Raf, we aired the comments of a woman who spoke.
You aired a rumour, Chris. Part of your story is there's a rumour of what caused the complaint of sexual assault. I don't want to repeat the rumour, but you called it a rumour in your story.
I didn't call it a rumour in my story. I said it was a report. Unconfirmed reports from the online world, I think was the words I used.
I reckon we used the word rumour. We'll see if we can... have we got it there? Hang on, Tick. This is part of your report.
They played the tape, and I'm going to play it for you too. Let's find out if Chris Reason used the word rumour.
7 News Today visited the Pullman Hotel as new unconfirmed reports surfaced that the incident that sparked the sex assault complaint...
Unconfirmed reports. Those are the words Chris Reason used in that report. He did not use the word rumour. So I'm sure there'll be a full apology coming from Raf.
Okay, so Chris, unconfirmed reports. Why would you air something?
So not a rumour.
Okay, so I got the word rumour wrong. I don't know if that matters.
Oh, sorry? You're not sure that it matters. You literally just challenged Reason over the words he used, accused him of not only airing a rumour, but calling it a rumour. When Reason tried to explain and fix your misstatement, saying that he aired unconfirmed reports and that was the terminology he used, you challenged him. You accused him of using the word rumour. Not only did you accuse him of airing a rumour, you accused him of calling it a rumour. And then, when you're proven wrong, and in fairness, ABC played the same grab that I just played, You say it doesn't matter. Well, yes, it does. You made an accusation. You were wrong. And you won't even apologise because that takes away your narrative. And then came the arrogance of this belief the ABC is better than all other organisations, especially compared to commercial TV stations.
Why would you air something that's unconfirmed?
Well, the whole thing's unconfirmed, Raph. Everything's unconfirmed right now. We don't know what happened in that room. And I know, your reporters last night on ABC were talking about the number of people in the room, that there's some allegations of drugs being taken off the backsides of the women in that
ABC airs facts
situation.
that we've verified. We don't air things and say
Are they in the room? How on earth do you verify that? We've got sources and we've checked those lines and information that we have, as your reporters do. And look, I'm confident that the things we report are very, very strong, Raph.
Indeed. The sheer arrogance. Raph is having a go at Chris Reason and Channel 7 for doing the exact same thing that the ABC did that very night. I'll prove it. Here's the introduction to their report on that Thursday edition of the 7 p.m. news in Sydney and the section of the story that's relevant to what we're talking about.
The Sydney Swans scandal has deepened. Tonight, the ABC can reveal details of what is alleged to have happened inside a hotel room in Melbourne. Police have been told some players paid female adult entertainers to consume drugs off their bodies before a sexual assault is alleged to have occurred.
The ABC can now reveal what some of those decisions allegedly were. Senior police sources telling the ABC they understand extra payments were made for the players to allegedly snort cocaine off the women's buttocks and breasts.
How is that any different to the reporting by Chris Reason on what allegedly took place in that room? Raph Epstein said the ABC airs facts, we verify. We can't verify that because there's been no court case. There's been no official police statement about what they're alleging happened in that room. Nothing has been verified by the police. Yet the ABC is airing what Raph Epstein would call rumours. Although, according to Raph, it must be true if the ABC aired it. Of course, this is the same ABC that had to launch a review after an editing error added the sound of gunshots, 5 additional gunshots, to vision of what it claimed was former SAS Commando Heston Russell firing from a helicopter. And of course, multiple episodes of Four Corners have been removed from all online platforms over accuracy concerns by a sacked reporter. So this idea that the ABC is the only one that can be trusted and the commercial networks are evil is pure arrogance, and it's insulting. And Raph Epstein needs to apologise to Chris Reason. You made a claim. It was proved to be wrong. Now you need to man up and apologise. And especially when the ABC is doing the exact same things that you accuse Chris Reason of doing. And the police, by all accounts from that reporter, gave information about the investigation to the ABC. Why is that okay? The police manipulate. They give favours to their favoured people. Journalists have a right to chase a story. The pure arrogance of this conversation is something that I just can't get my head around. And it's so wrong.
I think the challenge was...
Turn your podcast into a TV show.
Oh, I love this.
For just $80 per hour, you can have your host anywhere in the world.
The mandates are off in America here.
With graphics tailored to your show.
Can I just dispense with all of the emotional kind of foreplay and just jump in? Do you mind?
Video Podcast Services is run by media professionals who know how to make your content stand out from the crowd. Go to videopodcast.online.
He might have been a fixture on our screens from the early days of television here in Australia, appearing on shows like Bandstand with Brian Henderson and an array of other TV classics for decades. But even all that television history wasn't enough to secure entertainer Col Joye a mention in this year's In Memoriam segment at the Logies. His omission has upset family and friends, none more so than fellow entertainer Jade Hurley, who shared his outrage on a recent edition of McKnight Tonight.
2 days after the last Logie Awards, Col died. So wouldn't you reckon someone would have just got a pencil and just and put into the computer, hey, next year, Col Joye for a star? Because he was the first one that passed away after the last Logies.
Mm.
I sat there, and when the memorial come up, I thought, and I sat there, and I saw, very talented people mentioned with their photographs displayed on the screen and everything like that, and but people who were editors and writers But here's a guy who started in the late 50s, just like I did. We all appeared on, everything from Bandstand to 6 o'clock Rock to Saturday Date, and then the Mike Walsh shows and the Bert Newton shows, Kerry Ann Kennelly shows. It went on and on and on. And for him to be overlooked was such an oversight and such I was out of control, for not only for his family, but for the friends and fans. But he was a mate, and to be forgotten, not remembered in the manner that he should have been remembered, but to be forgotten in that manner.
Look, putting these segments together isn't easy, but this is it's pretty bad form. I don't know what's going on at TV Week. You might remember that before the awards, they produced a list of TV shows, 140 of them, for people to vote on and shortlist into the top 70 shows of all time. And they forgot, hey, it's Saturday. Is it cutbacks? Is it a lack of staff? Is it cheap staff that don't know TV history? I mean, Col Joye, he had been on our screens for decades. Everyone knew him, and he was forgotten. TV Week has been approached for comment. At the time of recording, they have not responded. If they do, I'll put it on the TV Black Box website. Channel 10 has confirmed reality TV show Big Brother is moving to Brisbane. In a statement released Tuesday, the network said, construction is officially underway at Screen Queensland Studios. The studios have been home to Aussie classics like Boy Swallows Universe, but they've never seen drama this unfiltered, this unscripted, and this unmissable. Expect a return to live evictions, live nominations, and live streaming, plus an even longer run to get totally hooked. Of course, viewers of Media McKnight knew this was happening months ago. This is what I reported at the beginning of June. Channel 10's Big Brother is on the move. Now, there have been rumours the show is leaving Dreamworld due to a conflicting booking at the convention centre. And that is absolutely true. Media McKnight can reveal the show is moving to Brisbane and will air around the same time as last year, but it will go a week longer this time. Now, the network has confirmed it will be a longer run, but haven't disclosed how long. But as I reported, the show is moving to Brisbane.
Oh yeah, McKnight was right.
Being able to play it on Media McKnight, how good is that? Meanwhile, the Daily Telegraph is reporting Channel 9 won't be airing The Golden Bachelor this year as planned. The paper reports the dating series, hosted by Samantha Armitage, is now expected to hit screens next March rather than later this year. Now, I've been investigating this and I can say this reporting appears to be true, at least according to my sources. The paper speculates on why the show is moving, including linking it to Sam Armitage taking over as host of The Today Show. And while that might be true, there's no doubt that outside of that, there's a lot of support for this show, especially from programming boss Michael Healy. He's keen to give it every chance of success, and airing it on the back of Married at First Sight might just do that. Is it an issue airing 2 dating shows back to back? Not really. Maths isn't really a dating show now, is it? Much is being made of the role 7:30 host Sarah Ferguson played in a new documentary by her husband, Tony Jones. Sentient looks at the ethics of the scientific testing on animals, with the scientific community reflecting on their actions and how some opinions have changed over the years. Ferguson is credited as executive producer on the film, but the Australian reports she didn't disclose her role to the ABC for 2 years. During a recent discussion with Jones on McKnight Tonight, before the publication of that information about the disclosure issue, I asked him about the involvement of his wife. It was something he seemed keen to downplay, much to my surprise at the time.
She didn't have a lot of input in the actual filming or editing of the film. So she's there as an executive producer because she was there at the point where we came up with the idea of doing this. And the film it probably wouldn't exist without Sarah, but she doesn't actually have any role in the editing of the film or the filming of it. She was doing her own job for the ABC at that time. So, but she saw final cuts of the film and gave her advice, but so did a lot of people. But it's because of her initial role in making sure this actually happened that we gave her a deserved executive producer credit.
To be honest, I don't have a problem with her serving as executive producer, but it's the disclosure that will prove the problem and give tabloids plenty of fodder to attack her and the ABC. Sydney radio station 2GB has been celebrating 100 years on air. Quite the achievement. And in a rare finding, the station unearthed a recording from the very first broadcast.
Good morning, everyone. Lovely music to introduce my part of the day here on Radio 2GB. We certainly hope we are going to become part of your lives. This is our first day on air. Beautiful day in Sydney, 65 degrees. I've got some fantastic guests lined up and some interesting information for you as well over the next few hours. But William Bottom Sr. is our traffic man. Let's find out what's happening on the traffic front. William.
Good morning, Mr. Stanley and listeners. There's been a breakdown on the punts, the north side, so motorists and horses heading north will need to use the Gladesville Bridge. That adds about an extra hour to your trip. A wagon is overturned on George Street in the city heading south. Vets and blacksmiths are on their way to make sure that everything's sorted there. That might take a while to be cleared. And one of these new fangled horseless transport trucks has got stuck in the Galston Gorge, and you're advised to avoid that area. 2GB Traffic is brought to you by the Ford Motor Company. Check out the new improved Model T, which now comes in green as well as black from £180, or for an extra £50, you can have a starter motor instead of the old crank out the front. That's traffic and transport. Back to you, Mr. Stanley.
That is Night's presenter John Stanley getting his revenge on everyone who thinks he's very, very old. He told them that he was there at the very first broadcast. I think some people might have believed him. That was a great recreation, but no, John isn't 100 that we know. Very funny stuff. And congratulations to everyone at 2GB on an amazing run. Well, that brings us to the end of this edition of Media McKnight. New episodes go live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, but paid members of the channel get instant access as soon as the episode is complete. Just go to youtube.com/@McKnightTonight to look for the very cheap options. I'm Rob McKnight. I'll see you soon. Cheers.